encourage everyone to turn on your camera so that we can see all of your lovely faces. All right. All right. So again, guys, good afternoon. Just to introduce myself, I am Christian. So I'm your party brewer for today. Okay. So I want to welcome everyone to our first session of the Spill the Tea behind the scenes look at HR. Okay. So we want to get behind the scenes with HR professionals with and find out how and what they did on projects and what they are actually working on and what went wrong, what went right. So those things, okay? And this event is actually brought to you by PPEARL Consulting and Singapore Human Resources Institute, or SHRI. So we're partnering with them. SHRI is a leading non-profit professional HR body, which represents a strong network of members comprising individuals and organizations across diverse industries. So they represent over 6,000 human resource professionals, okay? And by the way, they have like upcoming event. They call their series hashtag Info
I
HR
think this is
webinar
just
series.
PPR,
So that will be on the 21st of January,
publicity.
4 p.m. via Zoom. And don't worry, guys, that's absolutely free. And their next topic is reimagining leadership and people-centric approach. Okay, so now it's time to spill the tea with you guys. Again, good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're enjoying your Friday. Okay, to start, please allow me to introduce the expert bestie for today, the founder and CEO of PPEARL. Please welcome Natasha KK MacLevion. Please type hi Natasha or hi Nat on the chat, guys. All right.
Hi everyone. Hi everyone. As you can see, we went crazy with the tea puns and analogies, but so loving it. So happy to see you. Happy Friday. I even have a pair of earrings that says spell out Friday, and I wanted to wear them, but I thought maybe it was a bit too over the top. Maybe next time. So we were actually expecting a cozy group of 10 people, but who knew that we would have over 80 signups? So thank you so much for being here. It's such a pleasure to do this, and just so happy to see you and old faces, some old faces. So just a few words about PPEARL. We are a consulting firm that started in 2004. We sold ourselves and relaunched in 2020 with a consulting model geared towards the future of work. Our team serves both our clients and our network of over 1,200 experts. And these are consultants, business leaders, thought leaders, researchers, and HR tech partners. Together, we deliver consulting work, coaching, instructional design, organizational, and people diagnostics. Now, our experts deliver work across 6 broad domains: people, digital innovation, business, sustainability, change management, and we also have our own in-house design team that can create collaterals and videos, just everything, our own design team for our clients as well as our experts. Enough about us, but do check out our website and find out more if you're interested at www.people.com. So let me introduce you to my guest today, and they're otherwise known as the Master Tea Spillers. So we have Nadiah Tan Abdullah, CHRO of SP Setia Berhad, who will speak about ESG and building a digital culture in a brick and mortar company. We also have Leonard Lee, Senior Director of Hilton, and he will spill the tea on learning and leadership development as well as diversity and inclusion. They both come with over 20 years of experience in HR organizations such as Microsoft, Danone, Nestle, AirAsia X, Barclays Capital, and I'll just let you check them out on LinkedIn yourselves. They are very worth stalking. So welcome, Nadiah and Leonard. Thanks for being here. Hi.
Thank you.
Thank you. So let's jump straight into things, okay? Nadiah, what have you been working on for the past 12 months?
Thanks, Natasha. And I've actually known Natasha for a long, long time. You know, I guess it's been like maybe 20 years when we all, well, brother me, when I was much, much younger, when she was in Malaysia. And, you know, it's always been a pleasure working with her. So when she came and asked me about the session, I said, well, that's something different, right? Because normally you in and listen to a webinar. And I really like to echo what Natasha says. I will share some of my thoughts, but yeah, jump in and, you know, do whatever, say whatever you want to. You can disagree with me, but I think that the whole idea is that we have a great, you know, tea time. Yeah, coming back to your question about ESG, about what we've been doing for the last 12 months, and clearly we are going to talk about ESG and digital talent. I think for all of us, the last 12 months have been crazy. I'm just saying for all of us, assuming that most of you are from HR, right? And I think you can totally resonate to what I'm saying. It started off in probably mid-March for us in Malaysia, March 2020, and then the full year of last year, we thought we were coming out of it in February, and then came Delta, and now we thought, okay, great, you know, we all can come out, and then, oh my God, you know, there's Omicron. So the 12 months, I think for a start, let me just set the context. I think in 2020, most companies were not prepared. When I say most companies, as in minus the MNCs, because I think I spent 22 years in MNCs. You know, global companies were kind of used to some of those kind of unexpected situations. But I think for local companies where things were moving on quite well, especially for us, SP Setia, we're actually a property developer. It's a brick and mortar industry. So we've had a good run, you know, the few years before that, employees were getting like, you know, 6 or 7, 8 months bonus, and suddenly, cool, you know, this thing comes in, right? The last 12 months in 2021, I would say it was a consolidated year, because we were consolidating whatever we were learning from what happened in 2020. And as Ned was saying, you know, I really want to just go straight on to ESG and digital talent, because I can talk about this for hours, right? I think 2020, we all had to remodel, reshift, whatever, re-engineer, whatever you can say, the things that we were doing. So for us, we quickly shifted from face-to-face, because, you know, Malaysia, unlike Singapore, I mean, I don't know, we have a mix of Malaysian and Singaporean, or is it so Filipino as well? But in Malaysia, I mean, our government just couldn't make their mind, right? So lockdown, in, out, and all that. So it's just typically very difficult for us. So very quickly, we had to shift the whole workforce, especially so those in technical and also in marketing, sales and marketing, towards virtual digital marketing. Now that's really challenging in the beginning, because for us, we have our customers come in, visit our sales gallery, and, you know, we want to show them that the show unit, we spend a lot of money in our show unit. And I think as a company, Setia is a company that believes in human touch, high touch. So it was really challenging in the beginning. But I think very quickly, I think that the thing that was going on for us was that we were, I'd say that, by the way, we just won the 11 times Best Employer Award with Kincentric last night. So I'm sort of very proud to say that. And I think one of the things that really brought us to where we are is it's because we have a huge appetite towards winning. In fact, our mission is, you know, to be the best in whatever we do. So I was pleasantly surprised, I must say. I thought that it's going to be taking us much longer to convert into our digital transformation. So very quickly, we had the, M365. I think most of us are using it. But what we did differently, I would say, is that we had the M365 champions, because as a company, we have 48 projects, 2,000 employees, all kinds of locations. We have Vietnam, Singapore, we have in London, Battersea. We are also starting in Japan, very new, but even in Malaysia alone, we've got now in Penang, mainland island, we have central about 8 locations also in the south, Johor, and also Johor alone, we have like 6 BUs, business units, and then we have in Sabah. So I think things have to be deployed efficiently. So what we did was we actually had our M365 champions and a robust rhythm. So every week, every Monday, all these champions will meet up and actually work on how do we, convert a lot of things. And it may sound like, oh, M365, everyone's using that. I must say that we have seen the benefit of it, because from being zero, sort of, I would say, Setia, I came from Microsoft, but Setia said kind of like, we never really consider ourselves highly digital. To I think we're quite okay now. Everything else is in the system. Shared folders. We suddenly see a conversion of our people being fully understanding how we can actually fully maximize using the network and so on. But I think what really worked for us was before this whole thing started. I think we were ahead of the curve, because in 2019, half two, we started having this whole program for total company. Because normally when we do this, we do it for total company, which we call decoding digital mindset. So we covered all the managers with the same module as for non-managers, but the difference is for managers, we have the modules on leading people and changing people in terms of moving towards a digital roadmap. So we covered what's happening out there in the market, how is it actually affecting our industry, so that we want every single employee to understand why is it important for them to move from where we are towards digital. So I think because we laid down the foundation, that acceleration was doing really well. I know Leonard will probably be talking about learning and management. I just wanted to just say, it's one thing. And I think secondly, what's happening out there, I'm going to end this soon. What's happening out there also has made us realize that, being human is so important. We talk about it all the time. It's like a motherhood statement, right? But I think the pandemic has shown that being human means really having empathetic leadership. And I will speak about this later on, because we now have this thing called We Lead, WELEAD. We being, well-being, empathetic leadership, leadership, engagement, expectation from employees being different, A being agility and also adaptation, and D being digitalization and development. So I'm going to just stop here so that I don't hog the line and let Nat comes with the next one. And I'll expand a little bit more later on. Is that okay?
Thanks. Thank you so much, Nadiah. Leonard, what have you been working on the last 12 months?
Hi everyone. Good afternoon to one and all. I'm glad to be here. And now, what has been keeping me awake at night the past 12 months, right? I won't belabor the fact that Nadiah mentioned, the fact that it's been tough, right? And if you look at what's been trending these days, in fact, what's been trending the past 6 months has been around the great vaccination, right? And when you talk about the great vaccination, it strikes fear in my industry. Why? And I'm sure it strikes fear in a lot of people's industries as well. But especially for our industry, we're in hospitality, right? Apart from the airlines, hospitality has been probably the second most impacted industry because of COVID. And so what do we do then, right? Knowing that the great resignation is going to be upon us if it hasn't already been upon us. First, we've got issues around attracting people to an industry that's viewed to be it's definitely not in decline, because I do see a future, an exciting future once this whole pandemic is behind us. I think there'll be a vertical growth, actually, if I'm very optimistic about that. But currently, it's hard to attract people because there's no certainty, right? So it's hard to attract talent, right? So that space of talent and leadership development and learning. And then there are people who are leaving the industry because because there's no business. There's also the issue around they don't see prospects, right? So we get hit two ways, right? We cannot attract talent, and then we're losing talent. And what really concerns us is talent at the top level, the leadership talent. And so what's been keeping me thinking the past 12 months has been, how do we retain our top talent, and our talent, but especially our top talent in the company? And one of the pillars I have to admit that has been identified is the pillar of leadership development and learning. Because we feel that if we can provide that sort of engagement, then we can retain the talent, and especially top talent, and especially diverse talent in terms of women in leadership, and as well as what we call localized talent, because we are also losing talent within the markets that we have in Asia Pacific. So I'm going to stop here and hand the mic back to Nat.
All right. Well, thank you so much, both of you. Sounds like you had lots on your plate. Like every other HR professional that I've come across, I said that I have not been this busy dealing with so much stuff the last 12, 24 months, right? Going back to you, Nadiah, I can see that you've been doing a lot of work in ESG. Tell us a little bit more. Why is this important, and what were some of the challenges that you faced?
Very good question. I guess everyone's been talking about ESG for good number of years, but I don't think anyone really took it seriously until the pandemic really hit us. I happened to moderate a session with Michelle Walker, who wrote this book called The Grey Rhino 2 days ago. And interestingly, how she termed what's happening now is that climate change and everything else, it's basically a grey rhino effect, because it's been there, it's quite obvious, but we just took it for granted. We took it for granted until this whole thing hits us, right? So for Setia, we've always, if you look at the ESG, E, environment, S, social, and G, governance. I think we've done quite a bit in terms of the environment element, because we're known to be a developer that comes out with the idea of eco-series. We're always looking at landscaping, and we have, solar powered residences and all that kind of thing. But what I think we've also done quite a bit on the social bit. The last 2 years, we started moving a lot more on governance, because I think the regulators are coming in strong to organizations. But I think what's clear post-pandemic is that we felt we need to have a more fully integrated framework between what we're doing in the environment space and social space. Because social space it's broader than, it's not CSR. I think many people misunderstand that as CSR. It's not CSR. It's about what do we do as an organization to be responsible for the community around us, for the stakeholders. For us, for example, we align it to the UN SDG, and we talk about how do we then erase poverty. How do we, I think there's another one, is, if I'm not mistaken, number 11. How do we ensure that we create a community that has healthy living and so on? Of course, Leonard spoke about ESG, the SDG number 5. I'm very familiar with number 5, which is gender, because I happens to be also leading the talent pipeline for 30% Club in Malaysia. I think all the 17 SDGs has relevance to many different industries. And I think for us, more so in terms of what kind of quality living do we provide. So as an organization, it's not just about making profits, but what do we contribute when we develop the place. We have this mission called of development philosophy called live, learn, work, play, which means in everything that we do, we must make sure there is a place for people to live. There's a place for people to, there's a school or place for people to, or institution, and then work, offices and play. There's also an element of playgrounds, or even centers for families or communities to come together. So I think it actually raises the whole question of, as a corporate citizen, what do we do beyond just reaching and achieving our profits? And we now are even going into the next level. I mean, I know some of the other MNCs are much more ahead of us in terms of looking at, carbon zero and all those things. I'll be honest, we know it's important. It never really hit us until this pandemic happened, and we now want to make sure that whatever we do, it's fully integrated in how our customers see this being impacting the whole life cycle of a customer. If I were to buy a product, I want to make sure that I'm buying a product that is using the raw materials that has got, environment friendly and so on. So as a company, we have to make sure that we go to the whole length of looking at our supply chain and so on. And once I've actually bought a property, our customers are now asking, what about the environment? So we have solar power and all that. And how do we then ensure that the facilities that we provide will actually be within the whole concept of, that environmental friendly, and at the same time leading on to influencing a positive impact on the community around us. So we do a lot of work. We have a Setia Foundation, which actually does that part on, and we focus on education. And also, if I can share, during the pandemic, we had a food aid. In our industry, we housed our foreign, they're not under our payroll, but we call it they're within our ecosystem. So they are actually employed by our contractors. So all this, the foreign workers are actually housed in a kongsi, or we call it the CLQs, which is the Central Labor Quarters. And when the lockdown happened, it restricts the movement, and we wanted to also make sure that we contained everything else. So what we did was we actually spent a lot of money going on a campaign of a food aid, basically providing, we spent millions because there are actually so many of them in the different locations, making sure that they are taken care of as well. We don't want to have that incident that came out. I don't want to mention the companies, where it became such a big social issue, because they are part of our manpower, although they're not employed under us. They're part of the whole ecosystem. So I think that we go beyond just our employees, because we feel that when you talk about ESG, it's really about us being a responsible corporate citizen. So maybe I'll just talk here.
Thanks, Nadiah. And I've been posting a couple of questions as well, everyone. Like I've been asking, curious, right? Like at what stage is your organization on with the ESG, I wouldn't say cycle, ESG initiatives, right? And where is the focus? Is it more E, the S, or the G, or is it everything? And thanks, Leonard was saying that it's big in Hilton, and they have a full-time person in doing this in HR, in Asia Pacific, sorry. Curious about everyone else, so please do let us know. And maybe going back to you, right, Leonard, you talked about diversity and inclusion. What exactly have you been driving? I mean, this is an agenda that is key on a lot of corporates out there, but what was it unique? How was it unique in Hilton?
Yeah, I think we look at the gender diversity from a leadership perspective, right? I mean, the higher up that we go within Hilton, we observe that female leadership was I use the word was sorely lacking. So what do I mean by that? So I look at the positions of GMs, because our leaders, we look at the general managers across Asia Pacific. When I first joined many years ago, right, it was like 9.5 years ago, we had only 3% female GMs, which was, in my opinion, unacceptable, right? Very unacceptable. But if I look at what's happening now, we've reached the target. We've reached a nice little number of 20%, which is still not good if you think about it, because if you look at our clients, right, our guests, they have I mean, half of our guests are female, right? So why is it that we have got our leaders are only 20%? There are many structural, of course, factors that go into why in my industry, in the GMs, we have so few female leaders. So now I think what I think is important is to know that whilst there has been progress, the past 12 months, the past 24 months, we have seen a little bit of a plateauing effect. And I suspect it's due to the, if I don't suspect, I'm quite sure it's due to the issue around the COVID, right? So COVID has thrown a spanner in the works with all the issues around having to develop and move female leaders around the world, and that's been around Asia Pacific, and that has been a difficulty for us.
Interesting. Yeah, I was actually just going to say, right, that we do work with some HR tech companies that can measure the strength and of diversity and inclusion within organizations. And this especially has gone, very dark, right? Because everyone's virtual and you don't really get a sense of that anymore. So there are some of these, but we could leave that for another day's discussion, or if you're interested, reach out to us. There are some questions here from one, right? AP is asking, and he's reaching out to both Nadiah and Leonard. Can you discuss a bit about strategic HR? So maybe AP, you would like to mic on and just explain a little bit about what exactly it is about strategic HR you'd like to know more?
My question is around the concept of how HR drive business decisions and also business visions and strategies. So there has been a lot of talk about strategic HR, but I don't find, a lot of companies are still not doing it. HR is just operating as a function, but not as a strategic partner in business, in the whole entire business or the whole entire organization. So maybe you can share a bit more about how strategic HR is being done, maybe in your organizations. Thank you.
Maybe I can take that first, yeah. So I think that's a very valid and legit statement. Because I think for me, I joined Setia in 2016, and that was after working for Microsoft, Nestle, BAT, those kind of companies where HR were very strategic. So I wouldn't say that HR is not strategic in Setia, but being a leading local company, and most especially so for property and construction development company, most of the companies were actually owner-owned. So the strategic HR was actually led by the owner. So I'm not saying that it's not strategic. Therefore, the role of HR took a different phase altogether. Yeah. So, but in the case of Setia, then I think in 2014, PNB, which is very similar to Temasek in Singapore, took in much more shareholding, and it became much more institutionalized. And I specifically were interviewed, and the mandate was to transform HR and then bring it to a different level. So if I may share my experience, I think to do strategic HR, you must have firstly a clear direction from the leadership and board. You must have that support, because I've been in HR for the last 27 years. I can tell you everything. Yeah. But there's no support, and then they say, okay, please go and do the operational stuff. That's number one. And I have to say, I've been here 5 years plus, and honestly, I didn't think I was going to stay on so long, but I am still here. So the word Setia in Malay means loyal. So they all always say, oh, so you're Setia in Setia, means you're loyal in Setia, right? And the reason why I'm still here is because the board has been very, very supportive and very clear in the vision that, look, this is where we need to be. And we have like I said, 11 times Best Employer Award when I came in, 7 times. So, it has always been very successful even before I came in, right? So, and because the company has had a good engine in terms of great execution, great teamwork, good DNA, but what's missing probably is how do we then scale up the organization to much more global? And that's what we want to do. So the last 5 years, what I've done was to draw up a roadmap. And one of those things that I had to do was to come up with a 5-year blueprint. And so the 5-year blueprint, when I first came in, I drew up after 3 months. I said, okay, let's look at this. There are 4 key pillars that we have to look at. Number 1 was being a key brand, because I think Leonard talked about making sure that you attract the right talent and so on. And number 2, inspiring leadership. You can have all the best resources, but you need inspiring leadership. Number 3 was sustainable culture, and number 4 was robust talent pool. So that was the last 4 years I've been driving on that roadmap, and we've been consistently working on it. Secondly is you need to have the right people. So in HR, I was making a bit of a changes. When I first came in, when I moved people around, it was a shocker. They all were very scared. For those of you who are in MNCs, you know, every year we would expect, yeah, maybe I'll have a change of role. And we have that kind of conversations. But I think in local companies, you know, people are much more specialized, and I think that's not so good, because then you're not so versatile, but you're very good in what you do, and that's great. But the way the world is moving, you need to have versatility, you need to have agility, you need to have an agile workforce, and that can only happen when you have flatter organization and people with different skill sets where they can, you know, move and change accordingly. So this year, I was talking about really, this year, I then say, okay, 5 years, you can't be forever using the same thing. After 5 years and post-pandemic has really made us think, okay, look, we've got to change. And that's why we became really well-being, employee well-being, and we focus a lot on that because your employees are now asking different things. The social contract and the employment contract between employee and employee has changed. And leadership now, instead of just inspiring, is empathetic leadership, because things have changed a lot. So if we are not shifting, pivoting the way we lead, then we're not going to be there, because they're going to say, thank you very much, I've had enough of pandemic, you know, you're not understanding me, bye-bye. And, you know, engagement expectations are changing. You know, people are now saying, hey, you know, the last 2 years I was working from home. I can actually get my income from home. And so, you know, they're not really saying, oh, I need to go to the office. So we need to change and look at hybrid working arrangement, more of the future of work. We've been talking about it the last 10 years. It became very real the last 2 years. Agility and adaptability is so key, because we're realizing now we don't know what's coming up tomorrow, right? So after a while, I can tell you, I was leading the task force, and March 18 we locked down in 2020. We locked down in Malaysia. From March to August, we were having task force meet every day, including Saturday, Sunday. On average, I was sleeping 3 hours. I was miserable. I wanted to resign. But you know what? Because we didn't know. But after a while, you know, like all things, we get better and better. And now, okay, you know, we have built that resilience. So I think after a while, organizations become better. We just need to make sure that what have we learned and what have we reflected. So I think strategic HR is something that you have to be clear where you want to go. You have to have the right support. You have to have the right people. And you have to make sure that your relevance to the business is important, because most times we don't get down to the ground. And I'm a big propagator. I really champion going down to the ground. So in Malaysia, we say turun ke padang. So you need to, because when you sit in the office, you don't know what's happening. I think that's key. I hope I answered that question.
Leonard, I'm curious, what's your take on this?
Yeah.
You mean,
I think, you know, the idea of strategic HR, right? The way I see it, we sit at the table with the business on 2 fronts. First front is talent, right? The procurement and engagement of talent. And second one is, of course, the whole idea of engagement, right? So you get the talent in, then you must engage the talent within the organization. And the business, I have to admit that during the past 2 years, the business, HR has been at the forefront of our, I can only speak for Hilton, of course, at the forefront of all things engagement and talent, primarily driven by the fact that, as I mentioned earlier, business has suffered morale is low, right? People are leaving, difficult to attract people. So HR is actually really at the forefront of the whole business of strategic business considerations. And of course, if you look at beyond that, we are still growing. Tourism industry, the hotel hospitality industry is growing despite the pandemic. So hotels are opening. We're opening 200 hotels every year in Hilton. So where are we going to get our talent, right? And we can get talent from outside, of course, but we know we don't. We want to also have a pathway, right? A career progression pathway that we want to build for internal talent so that they don't leave. So that's where where HR comes into the picture again to help the business see how we can use the pathways to motivate our talent. Then there's also the diversity goals, right? And these come from the corporate. We have got goals that are driven from the US. It's a US company, so we have got goals that are driven down to say that we need to look at diverse slates from people from the when we talk about diversity in Asia Pacific considerations. We're looking at firstly first and primarily actually the gender diversity, right? I know in the US they've got a lot more versions of diversity. So for example here, we're even looking at how many numbers of females are promoted a year. How many females leaders are moved around in terms of mobility. We even go down to the idea of how many female participants are there in learning and development programs, especially the leadership programs, because these programs that I'm in charge of, they form the pipeline, they build the pipeline for future leaders. So I think in terms of strategic HR, I'm very heartened and convinced that the pandemic has firmly put us in a driver's seat, because the business actually needs us both in the space of retaining talent, nurturing talent, as well as engaging talent.
Hey, thank you. All right, I'm going to jump to another topic, right? Which is, I think, trending or maybe starting to, well, still trending. And it's the Great Resignation. And I'm curious, right? It's not just to Nadiah and to Leonard, it's to everybody here. Is the Great Resignation something that you're dealing with in your respective organizations? Let us know, is it a yes, is it a no? And if so, how serious is this? I was just speaking to one of the HR leads in Standard Chartered, and he said, Nat, this is a reality that is it's real. It's happening everywhere, and we're suffering. So curious, what are you doing? Is this a problem in your organizations, and what are you doing about it?
Feel free to unmute, guys, or you can answer on the chat. But we encourage everyone to unmute if you have questions or insights about Great Resignation.
I'm going to pause and let others speak, otherwise I have too much to say.
All right.
Okay, hi everyone. This is Nauruz here. Let me just probably get the ball rolling. Yeah, very good question. In fact, I was looking forward towards that. Hi, I'm Nauruz. Once again, I'm from Yayasan Mendaki. We are actually a self-help group. I'm not too sure if all of you guys are familiar. Self-help group is like also a non-profit kind of way, but we are social kind of, we focus on the lower 30% of the Malay Muslim community. Basically, we provide education programs. Okay, so the Great Resignation wave. Initially, I thought because recently we had a change in our leadership, and I thought because of that. But then again, true enough, with the pandemic and the environmental, it was quite an impact, the sudden wave of resignation that we are experiencing right now. So while we are trying to understand what went wrong, in a way, the good thing is that we managed to kind of clear up, I don't know what, for lack of a better word, create vacancies and opportunities, right? Well, we have that because our sectors generally people kind of stay very long, which is a good problem. But when this wave came about, we lose more kind of mid to younger talents. So I thought I just could just share, and we are still trying to find out. In fact, and trying to find a solution to this, and also trying to understand exactly, yeah, what went wrong. Do we go anywhere wrong? Because this is the first time that we're experiencing this for the longest time, probably more than 35 years. Yeah,
All right.
yeah.
Thank you.
I just thought I could just share, and then maybe we can start the ball rolling into
Yeah.
sharing, discussing.
Thank you, Narus, for this. Yeah. Anyone else? Anyone else? So what I'm hearing is that it is the younger and the mid-tier level. Is this the same phenomenon that's happening in other organizations? Yep. So Sharon here is saying that it's particularly acute in healthcare, and it will get worse, yeah, when the foreigners go overseas. Interesting. Yeah, Sharon, you want to talk a bit more about this? Or anyone have questions? Nadia, Leonard, do you have questions for the audience? Anything you want to ask them?
Maybe I'll ask, because I mean, I think everyone's having the same issue, same with Setia. In fact, I just came off from the 2 o'clock meeting with my CEO and CEO talking about this particular topic and this particular question, because, you know, we're supposed to be doing a presentation whether we are going to have bonus or not in February, right? And I agree with Leonard. I think it's about losing. I said this exactly to my CEO. I said, you know, I think the resignation is great. It's a good refresh, but we don't want to lose the wrong people and then end up with people that we don't want to, because they're not getting all the offers, right? But I think what's happening in the market is that everyone's refreshing and pivoting their business model, and therefore there's a lot of new roles, and also because of digital transformation, there are new roles, new skill sets, and so on. The question I want to ask the group is that, do you think it is just money, or do you think that it's also all this other psychological element that's happening? Because I've seen the trend of maybe young mothers leaving the organization, and they're mainly maybe, you know, really young mothers. So normally they'll be like, you know, either late 20s or early 30s, and they're probably junior middle, because the pandemic has caused a different kind of concern about exposure to their kids, being sent to babysitters and so on. They're really good talent, but people are just making that choices to stay home. I don't know, you know, and it's something that I want to respect their choices, but I feel it's such a waste from a talent point of view. But I want to be respectful of, you know, the fact that family is important, and I mean, I can't turn back the clock when I'm not spending enough time. I have a 24-year-old and a 19-year-old boys, but I 2 boys, and I think if I can turn back the clock, I would have spent more time with my boys, right? So for me, it's an epiphany. But I'm just asking the group whether you guys have the same trend showing, and it's quite concerning. And it's women, right? I mean, wasted time. And what can we do to help this?
Yeah. Can we crowdsource a bit? What can we do?
By the way, we have a lot of insights on the chat, Nat.
We do. Yeah.
We'll open a can of worms.
Yeah, AP actually had like a good point here. He's saying that it's like a great reshuffle.
So AP saying instead of a great resignation,
yeah.
great reshuffle. Yeah. What are your views on this? And we'll also be compiling all these, you know, into post event feedback and debriefs for everyone. Thanks for all the great sharing. Well, you know, maybe we should increase this session to a bit longer. What do you guys think for next time? Do you want it to be an hour and a half? Also curious, right? So do give us your feedback. Meanwhile, I think we're going to move to the next session or the next section of our session, and it's called Christian?
The fast talk. All right. So for this time, since we're actually enjoying the conversation, right? And as we said, this is not your typical online event. So now we have the chance to ask some questions that you can easily answer on the chat. So we will flash the questions on the screen and just answer them. All right, on the chat. There's no right or wrong answers, by the way. We just want to hear from you guys. So let's start the fast talk now. Uh, yeah, the first question would be, what do leaders reward more? Is it talent or hard work for you guys?
Please just type it in. Yeah, what have you seen? Talent or hard work?
Oh, seeing a lot of talents. Yeah. Also, it depends. Talent. Hard work. Now it's a mix of hard work and talent.
We should do a tally, Christian, of this later. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
I
gonna
agree.
add my bit here as well.
All right. So since this is a fast talk, let's move on to the next question. Okay. So
Alright.
guys, please be quick as well with your answers. Okay. So number 2 question: does remote versus in office work hamper innovation? Is it a yes for you or is it a no? Okay. Peter says no. No. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, it depends again.
Yeah, Nate gave the suggestion that we should use the poll function. Actually, we were thinking about it. So I
Yeah.
think you're right, Nate. We should do it next time. Yeah.
Correct. But we have like a segment there later on with the poll option. All right, next one.
Next question.
So the next question: what drives employees to resign? Is it poor company culture or lack of work balance? Again, what drives employees to resign? Is it poor company culture or lack
Yeah,
of
choose one. Don't say both.
yeah.
Difficult to put out after if it's one or both.
Yeah.
One or the other. Which one? Just
Okay.
one.
Culture, poor culture.
Wow, interesting, huh?
Leonard says culture 1,000 times. All right. And the last question for this. So, what is the future of work? Is it AI or it's human? And by the way, guys, you can also answer um, the question on
We
the
have one
poll.
more question before the poll, though. Yeah.
Yeah,
Is the future of work AI or human?
human. Yeah.
Oh, future of work, AI.
There are a lot of things that cannot become
Oh,
AI.
a lot of
Again, both.
both. Okay.
In master marketing,
Oh, Sharon says hybrid.
Yeah.
your
Hybrid.
home steam all human, cannot be AI.
Unless it's extremely smart AI, maybe in a few hundred years.
Then it will be very costly. Human cheaper.
Maybe in the long run, AI will be cheaper.
Depends on the industry also. To track animals, how to use AI. You need human to a large extent.
Unless in the far future, somebody invent something really good.
If we had to choose one or the other, AI or human, there's some both.
I will say human.
Yeah.
Human.
Not yet, AI not yet.
Abu says 60% AI, 40% human.
Okay. Chris,
Sarim said AI based on humans.
my God, guys, you guys have been such an amazing audience. We're running out of time. We have to run to the poll now. You will
Yeah.
see a poll having popped up on your screen, right? So let us know. We're curious. What are the top 3 things here that would keep you up at night? So there are 9 items, right?
What are the top 3 things which would consider the most?
Employee engagement will be one.
Employee engagement was one of the first to start jumping, huh? Manage burnout risks. Okay, interesting. Spot hidden talent. Thanks everyone for your input. And whilst we're doing this as well,
Yeah, I think you can only click one, right?
Yes, I was so confused. Pick the
Yeah.
top 3 things, but it says single choice.
I was clicking here and there, and then like, you know.
Well, that's the trick. Actually, we want to have your top answer.
Yeah, frame the question again, man.
Sorry about that.
Just say the top thing.
sorry about that. Well, we know here it looks like it's employee engagement first in the running, and then managing burnout risks, and then just the spotting hidden talents. Yeah. Okay. So Christian, do we have to end soon?
Yeah. So I just actually want to end this with the question, since this it's actually Friday, right? So usually, what's your favorite thing to do to unwind on Fridays? How about you, Leonard, Natasha? Usually, what are you doing when you want to unwind on Fridays like this? Okay. Happy hour for sure, right?
Lots of alcohol.
Alcohol for it?
I like
Yeah, me too, actually.
What's everyone's favorite thing to do to unwind on Friday?
No, cycle. Yeah, cycle. I love it. Oh, Abu says Netflix and chill. Spend time with kids. Yeah, while watching movies.
Gaming. Yeah, that
Chill.
sounds good.
So, Christian, are you gonna announce the face of the day, or what you call the celebrity of the day?
Later that we were gonna announce it later. But I would like to yeah, I think I can give the floor to you to do the toast to Friday. So, and you also have like the option and the chance to thank our audience that here for the party, right? And with also our masters pillars. So guys, just to let you know, so in a bit we were also doing our group photo. So please turn on your cameras now so that you can be part of our photo.
Okay, let's do our group photo now. We have to close, unfortunately. Christian, you want to organize us? Thanks everybody, yeah, for being here, for giving us your time. We hope that this has been useful for you, and do also give us your feedback. Yeah, Christian, over to you.
Yeah, so with that, I would like to thank our masterpiece pillars and also all of our audience for today. Now, I want you guys to like hold up your mags while our team is actually taking our photo. So if you guys have like the mugs or tumblers that you have, you can just like have it there and do a cheers, and then we're actually taking photos. Okay. All right. So I'm counting in 3, 2, 1, smile. All right, one more. So that our team is actually able to get another angle of us, right? So again, so 1, 2, 3, smile. All right. Thank you so much, guys. By the way, later, I would like to announce the winner for our celebrity of the day winner. But before that, you can actually scan our QR code to tell us your feedback. And also, we're inviting you to our next session. So before that, you just need to have your QR code scanned and give us your feedback, please.
Thank you so much, Nadia and Leonard, for your time and for gracing our events. And thank you everybody for joining us. It's been such a pleasure to have you. Thank you for your time and all your input. It's been wonderful, and we hope to see you at the next Spill the Tea.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye, everyone.
All right. So before we end this one, we can announce now the winner for our celebrity of the day. It's none other than Nate Ong.
Huh.
Yeah.
Donate.
So it's
What
Nate.
was the criteria behind it?
I think it's like the face.
Okay.
All right.
I'll take
Thanks
that
so
as
much,
a
Nate.
compliment. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Congrats,
you're gonna
congrats.
have a prize for this, and we'll just gonna contact you for your prize. It's still secret.
Thanks, guys. Thanks. Appreciate it.
No worries. So again, guys, really want to invite you to our next session again. Now, as we noticed, we're enjoying this event, and we want to make it a little bit more longer than this. Maybe we can do it like 1.5 hours, right? Again, this Spill the Tea event is brought to you by PPEARL Consulting and CHRO. So stay tuned on the roll of our next session, guys. Okay.
Bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Weekend.
Everyone.
And